Hey, welcome everyone to my channel. This is my first video on this channel. My name is Rickroll Rizal, and I have been a denizen troll living in the internet for several years now. It's because this is something that, I just want to react and converse with people. And it's kind of funny because some of the people kind of take my post seriously when I am trying to just act as stupid as they are. And then they're shocked that is their points are actually stupid. And I am actually gay, but I do not join or I don't like the label to be part of the LGBT. I think the LGBT movement right now is very problematic, and I don't even like the word using problematic, as if it has lost its meaning due to the fact that the left has been using it so much to describe something that they don't like. And it's actually stupid. Now we are seeing here an individual who labels himself as queer and uses the pronouns they them. Okay, that's fine. That's fine if you really want that for yourself. Okay. The only problem is we have these individuals that are putting on themselves, adding stuff to the LGBT movement, adding stuff like their own kinks and fetishes and all of their insecurities. They put it in that group and everyone just goes crazy. And we are gonna see what this individual is talking about.
I put HIV positive on my profiles, people don't want to touch you. I remember being on a date with someone, so I brought him back to my place. Was like, okay, like I need to tell you something. Like I'm HIV positive, and I remember he like looked.
So it's a matter of consent. Now, if you are going on out on a date and you are gonna start a relationship, be it a one night stand or a lifelong partner, you have to disclose your status because you are not giving your partner the opportunity to have an informed consent for your relationship. And that's the irony of this point is because the left have been very vocal about consent. Consent should be at every step of the way, and this individual here is taking away the choice of the choice from his partner, one night stand, and he brought him to his apartment, wasting his time, and he feels as if he's the victim here. Chloe, you're not the victim here. You're actually the oppressor because you brought the person to your place, and you did not. It was like cornering a person in an area to make a rash decision because you have a person in an enclosed space, and then you suddenly spring on your status, your HIV status. No, I understand that. In a way, she's kind of saying that people still are afraid of HIV, which is something that you should still be afraid about. It is still a dangerous virus because not everyone responds to the medication. Not everyone responds to, not everyone who takes it was called Truvia before, but now it's PrEP. Not everyone who takes PrEP is 100% protected. That's one of the fallacies that I don't like. Usually, the left is pushing right now that everything is either 0% or 100%. That's not really the case. And I'm gonna tell you why as we let him continue his point.
At me. It was like I murdered him. I was like, I thought he was gonna beat the shit out of me. He was like, I can't believe you wouldn't tell me, and like you gave me HIV, and like was just
Okay, this might be hyperbole on his part, or maybe real misinformation of the individual, the partner, a potential partner, because they did not do anything. Now, you don't get HIV just by being near an individual, okay? There has to be a contact of body fluids on another person, especially if the person has an open wound. That's the case.
Oh,
like
wow.
losing his mind. And I'm like, no, that's not possible. Even if I bled on you, like in an open wound, like that wouldn't happen. I'm undetectable.
So okay, that is a gross misrepresentation. Okay, um, I'm not sure what he meant. If he's the one that bleeds on the individual, but the blood itself splashing on the individual is already a risk. It doesn't matter if you think there's like an intact skin barrier of the other person. It is still a risk, which is why we in the hospital, I'm a nurse, by the way, if we are handling patients with HIV with an open wound, we are actually wearing PPE, personal protective equipment. We are wearing face shields. We are wearing gloves. So you can't say that. Even if the individual we know on the chart, he or she is taking antiretroviral meds, we still wear our PPE. So this is a gross misrepresentation of the information right now. The chances may be low, but it is not zero.
Undetectable, and
Yeah.
but he just didn't want to hear it. Now
Okay, I'm just gonna rewind that a little bit because he said something important.
he just didn't want to hear it. Now the way the
Wait, wait, wait.
but he would wound that wouldn't happen. I'm undetectable,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
So this is one of the misinformation out there. If an individual is undetectable, and they say if you're undetectable, you will not pass on the disease, that is actually a big if. Okay? If you take your antiretroviral meds regularly, if the antiretroviral meds is still working for you, if you don't have a new strain or mutation that renders the antiretroviral meds that you're taking useless. So you have to choose another medication for you to work, a cocktail of medication for you to work. If you did not skip your medication, if at that time your body is not stressed, if your immune system is still okay and there's not an increase in viral load because your body is still fighting, there's a lot of ifs that you want that you want to pass on to your potential partner. That's a lot of risks involved. That's a lot of ifs that I don't even want to risk. And the individual is implying that since I'm undetectable, I don't have to tell you my status because I know or he thinks that I won't be able to pass it on you. That is wrong. And you are taking away the choice of the individual. It is basically grape. I have to use that word because YouTube, for some reason, is very sensitive to that word. You are basically graping the individual. And since that there is not a zero risk, there is some risk. It is not zero. It's low, but not zero.
but he just didn't want to hear it. Now the way the law goes, being undetectable, I really don't have to disclose my status.
No, we don't disclose your status. You don't have to disclose your status when you go to an establishment that doesn't require you to. For example, you're going to a restaurant, you don't need to disclose that status. If you are going to, for example, buy a car, yeah, you don't have to disclose the status. But when you go to something that may have a risk of you communicating the disease, such as you are going to the hospital, we have to know your status. Because when we give some medication, for example, through IM and injections, the nurses are at risk of being infected from you because that's an open wound. Even if we wear our gloves and stuff, that's still an open wound. Even the fact that, like I said, the risk is never zero. Even if you say saliva won't infect you, it's not zero. It depends also on the individual you are having relationships with. So if the individual happens to have low immune system during that time, either from taking steroids, either from extreme stress, which actually increases your cortisol levels, which is a form of steroid, or the person has an autoimmune disease, even if you are undetectable, you are high risk for that individual. That's why it's not zero. That misconception when you're undetectable and you won't be able to infect anyone, that's not zero. I've had a friend die from HIV AIDS, and it is not pretty. Not everyone can afford antiretroviral meds, and even if you say it's the government has to provide those antiretroviral meds, that is still a drain healthcare system. And then instead of prevention is better than the cure, right? Because once you get HIV, it is still a lifelong disease. You will have it forever and ever. We do not have a cure for it yet.
Right.
And you think about it, like anyone that you meet on your first date, or if like you're hooking up, like are
They
you
could
like,
have something.
I have diabetes, I have high blood
True.
pressure. You're not telling them any of this
So that this person is saying here, yeah, diabetes and high blood pressure are not communicable diseases. And yes, you don't have to disclose it with your partner, unless, of course, they it is like kind of 50-50. Like it's a joke on my part wherein, yeah, you don't tell your partner that you have heart disease and then in the middle of the act you suddenly suffer a heart attack. that's that's still gonna stress out your partner. That's it. Well, yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Where HIV is now, like if
Mhm.
you are undetectable, like you don't necessarily like have to disclose that. I don't think you're putting
Mhm.
anyone at any risk that you have to
Mhm.
like necessarily go through that, but
Yeah.
it's because of the stigma and shame that I feel like I have to disclose. People
Again, it is very irresponsible for this individual to say that being undetectable is not infectious. I assume that this individual here is part of the group that says you have to vaccinate yourself from COVID-19, but then you still have to wear a mask because they know that the vaccine itself is not 100% protection, and vice versa. People wearing masks, they have to tell them that you have to vaccinate because they know the mask is not 100% protection. And I find it ironic that now he's saying something that HIV, which is highly communicable, suddenly you're just taking medication, one type of medication, by the way, antiretrovirals on only, and he's suddenly cured, or not really cured, like he won't be able to infect others. If you are on antiretroviral drugs, you are still required to practice safe sex, which includes wearing a condom and making sure that your body fluids are cleaned immediately after the act. You don't just let it stay on the body of your partner for a long time. Like for example, you ejaculated on the body of the person. That's actually contraindicated because what if that individual, you don't see it, but the skin could have tiny breaks, especially during the sexual act. There will, like, honestly, I'm not sure how he does it, but sometimes when you just have sexual relationships, there will be scratching involved. You will be on different surfaces. You will have bruises, well, not really bruises because intentional hurting, but during the sex act itself, you will be rubbing at each other. You are actually breaking skin during sexual contact, and much more if you are doing anal sex. You are breaking the skin of the anus there, even regular straight sex with the female genitalia. And that act itself, even with proper lubrication, will cause skin breakdown from that area. So I don't understand why he thinks that it is not communicable, even undetectable. If you intentionally or accidentally have semen poured into an open wound, a scratch on the skin, the risk is actually significant. The risk is significant enough that if this happens, you should be telling your partner to go to the hospital to get the high level stress. I forgot the type of medication. It's like an after morning pill. It's a no, it's a post exposure prophylactic fit pill. So you need to tell your partner that. And I just really I wish that HIV would be eradicated in the world, but it is a hard disease to eradicate if you have individuals thinking like this. I would forgive an individual who doesn't know anything about HIV and unknowingly spread it to other people. But You seem like you are an intelligent guy, yet you are doing stuff that is incredibly stupid. So I was going to make a longer video adding something with Lily Lilitino. I'm just disgusted at that individual right now that I don't have the strength to do it. Maybe I'll do it tonight when I'm done from work. But whoever you are, I'm gonna pray to you. Pray, no, pray for you. Pray to you. He does look like Jesus. I got confused. No, I am not a Christian. I am an atheist. I am a spiritualist. I just believe that there is a moral way in doing things. I just am disappointed with the LGBT right now. You guys are crazy. Nah, that's it. See you guys later.